Zane and the Hurricane, A Story of Katrina, by Rodman Philbrick. Chapter 30. About my father. We carry Bandy into Belinda's house, next door to the Last Chance Animal Shelter, and keep him wrapped in the special blanket. He's really groggy from the anesthesia, and I'm worried he won't wake up, but he does with a little whimper of recognition. I tell him what a brave dog he is, and that he probably saved my life by getting in the way of the shotgun. But he doesn't seem to care about that. He's just happy to see me. People will say you can't know what a dog is thinking, but that's pure baloney. Belinda's house is small and tidy, sort of like Grammy's house, but modern. She says it would be more comfortable if the power was on so the ceiling fans could move the air, but I don't care about the heat and the humidity. Compared to what we've been through, this is heaven. For the first time since the hurricane, we all feel safe. Melvina helps Mr. True onto a couch so he can rest while Belinda fusses over him and makes him take a dose of antibiotics. The medicine is for large dogs, but she says it will work just as well on humans. She tells us he has sepsis, which is blood poisoning, and we'll have to watch his temperature, but he's a tough old bird. First I'm a dog, then I'm a bird, he says. Make up your mind. That inspires Melvina to crack some jokes about dogs and birds. What happens when it rains cats and dogs? You might step in a poodle. Why do hummingbirds hum? Because they don't know the words. She goes on, but the jokes are so bad they hurt. Me and Mr. True are so used to it by now, but Belinda laughs so hard she has to take off her glasses and dry them on her sleeve. I do love a sense of humor, she says, catching her breath. I can't tell a joke to save my life, but tell me, young lady, what were you thinking taking on the entire sheriff's department? Melvina shrugs. I was fed up, I guess. Belinda shakes her head in wonder. Girl, you're an itsy-bitsy thing, but you have the heart of a lioness. As if, on cue, Mr. True starts snoring. A moment later, Bandy is snoring too, and me and Melvina get into a fit of giggles because it's so perfect, them snoring away like a pair of chainsaws. While the two of them sleep, Belinda heats up some water on her outdoor grill and makes yellow rice and beans and the most amazing cornbread in a big iron frying pan. The three of us eat our fill by candlelight. It feels like a dream, a really nice dream where we're not running or hiding or being threatened. And then it gets even better because after the meal, Belinda goes out to her van and comes back with a cell phone that was charging on the van battery. This was a surprise. I had no idea, and I punch in Mom's number, and this time she answers. The connection is really bad. The cell only has like 1 bar, and I don't have time to tell her much, not even what happened to Bandy, but this much is clear. Mom wants me to stay where I am. She's already on the way. She'll come to me. That's fine. I'm not going anywhere. I'm feeling really good about how everything is working out until I catch a glance of Melvina in the candlelight. She tries to hide it, but her eyes are wet, and it hits me what a selfish goon I am, only thinking about my dog, my mom, myself. Me, me, me. So I tell her how sorry I am, that the first call should have been to check on her mother, not mine, and she says, Nah, it's not you, stupid boy. She's not crying for her mother. She doesn't care about her mother. Her mother can rot in jail for all she cares. She's crying because she's happy for me, that my mother's coming to get me, and because it means I'll be leaving soon, and that makes her sad. And if I wasn't a stupid boy from New Hampshire, I'd know that a person can be glad and sad and mad all at the same time. Now I really feel crummy because I don't know what to say to make her feel better. Belinda says gently, The boy has family here. He'll be back. Melvina folds her skinny arms tight across her chest and says defiantly, How'll he find me when I don't know where I'll be? Because you'll be here with me, Belinda says. You and Trudell. This is your home now. I said you were family, and one thing you learn about me, I always say what I mean, and I mean what I say. Belinda puts Melvina to bed in what she promises will be her room, to fix up any way she likes, and I bring a battery lantern into the living room and lay out some sofa cushions on the floor next to Bandy, who is still sleeping fitfully. Sometimes his legs move like he's running. I hope he's dreaming of squirrels, which he loves to chase. Not that he's ever caught one. Mr. True remains fast asleep too. A healing sleep, Belinda says, covering him with a light blanket and adjusting a pillow under his head tenderly. Trudell was like a big brother to me, she says, her voice a husky whisper. At times my childhood was very difficult, you understand, but he was always there, a calming presence. I feel bad we lost touch these last few years. My fault, not his. It's a blessing that I'll have the chance to make up for that now. He's a cool dude. He's a kind and lovely man is what he is, but you're right. He also happens to be a cool dude. Always was. There's something about Belinda that makes it easy to ask stuff, because the question pops out of my mouth before I have a chance to think about it. You said something about knowing my father. She shrugs and says, I knew him slightly. We lived in the same neighborhood and went to the same schools. But Gerald was a year older than me. The Dupree in my class was the young man who would have been your Uncle James had he lived. That was a terrible tragedy, what happened. For my whole life I've been telling myself it doesn't matter who my father was or why he did the things he did, because he was gone before I was born. But it does matter, and I guess I always knew that, way down deep. What happened? I asked. She looked surprised. You don't know? My dad never told my mother. She thought he was from Biloxi, and Grammy was going to tell me, but didn't have the chance. Belinda thinks about it. Maybe we should wait on Miss Trissy. Gerald was her grandson, raised like her own son. He was my father. Good point, she says. Everybody in the neighborhood knows the story. Why should you be the only one who doesn't? It's not right to keep you in the dark. After what you've been through, Trudell told me as much. So, are you ready? Here are the facts as I know them. Belinda explains that it was an accident, an awful accident. My Uncle James found a paper bag on the playground, and inside the paper bag was a gun. Stashed there by a drug dealer, that's what everybody assumed. Belinda doesn't know all the details, but James and Gerald shared everything, and James showed off the gun to his big brother, fooling around. Gerald tried to take it away, and the gun went off. Those two loved each other, she says, so everybody understood it was an accident. A terrible accident. There was never any question of Gerald being guilty of a crime. If it was an accident, why did my father run away? Belinda sighs. I don't know exactly, but it had to do with Miss Trissy. She was broke up bad, you understand, having worked so hard to raise those boys, and I expect Gerald thought she blamed him for what happened. For sure he blamed himself. Must be he felt he had to go somewhere and start over, which apparently he did, because here you are, with the same eyes and the same smile, and tall for your age like he was. So my father accidentally killed his brother, and then an accident killed him? That stinks. She nods. Yes, it does. But tragic accidents do happen in this world, all the time. We prefer to think they happen to someone else, but sometimes they happen to us, or to someone we love. I hate accidents. Understood. You have reason to, more than most. I'm only speculating about your father's motivations. But I do know one thing. You, young man, are no accident. You're exactly who he would have wanted you to be. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow is a brand new day. There's no way I can sleep, not with so much to think about, but I must have passed out from sheer exhaustion, or maybe relief, because the next thing I know, Bandy the Wonder Dog is licking me awake, and my mother is coming through the door with a cry of joy. She's driven night and day all the way from New Hampshire to find her foolish son that lost himself in a hurricane and take him home.